Okay, this is Laid Back But Serious with Grantley Haynes, and today we're talking to Ish Murphy. Ish Murphy is a new kid on the block, really. 26 years old, if I've got that right. Have I got that right?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and he's been a reggae fan probably since birth. Hello, Ish.
That's great, mate. How are you doing?
We're doing great, we're on the cusp of, the British Reggae conference on the 29th of March, yeah, at the bank in Wolverhampton, 9 Lichfield Street. And you're one of the individuals that's going to be there to provide information, perhaps a performance. And I keep hearing from everybody that this guy has got a voice. I know it, but I'd like the audience to know it. Go for it, Ish. Give me a Chronics song.
Chronics.
Just a bit of the chorus so that people can hear that voice that people keep talking about.
Skanking Sweet is a good one.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's a big one.
Go for it.
Just a chorus or a little bit of the
Yeah, just give me anything. Yeah, chorus.
Skanking Sweet. Everybody wanna feel irie. Forget your troubles and rock with me. You know feel the reggae music sweet, yeah. Skanking Sweet.
Good, wow. Wow, even I was impressed with that.
I like a bit of Chronics.
Give me a piece of Barrington Levy. To Experience. That's one that comes to my mind straight away.
To experience, to be taken for a stroll. To experience, for someone to rock and roll. To experience, to be taken for a ride. And I know it's not my foolish pride. Hey man, like that.
Yeah, I do.
I like my Barrington.
Who else do you like? One more. We'll give them a piece of one more. Beresford. Hammond.
Beres. Oh, Rockaway is a good one, Beres. Remember the songs used to make you rock away. Those were the days when love used to reign. We danced all night to the songs they played. We can come again, do it just the same. You know, we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Leave that on there.
Oh, I've got to give you a hand for that.
For a second. I was like,
oh, yeah, I thought you were.
Away.
But, I think people get the idea. That is some talent. So, in terms of a conference, with regards to reggae music and where you are and how young you are, tell us what would be in it for somebody like you of your age, from where you've come from. What's in a conference? What would you expect to get from it?
I think a good thing about conferences is you get to network with a lot of people. People that have been in the industry, or have experience in the industry, people that want to hear a bit about your version of the industry. So it's kind of like a give and share kind of, and take away information kind of thing. It helps. I feel like it helps to share a lot more information of the history of like the British Reggae, the pioneers, the revolutionaries, the people that helped build it all together and carry it through to what it is today. Not just about them, but also about the present and the next up and coming side of the industry. You know what I mean? And then obviously there's the networking, like I said, but you know there's like workshops and stuff like that you know helps with get like people engage a bit more into it, you know, and there's a lot of beneficial things for everybody that would be at the conference, you know, and not just that, you know, like they get to hear, you know, people that are like that are involved in the British reggae like community, you know what I mean? They get to hear their music, they get to hear what they've got to say, their stories, their backgrounds, their knowledge of the scene, you know, because sometimes stories are just as knowledgeable as, you know, a book, you know what I mean? And it's, yeah, sometimes someone could say something at a live showcase that could have a bigger impact in your life than what one of the words in their book could have, you know what I mean? So it's always good to be at these events and to engage with them, you know.
I think that answers my question to some extent. What's your opinion about promotion? How difficult is it, or how important is it for an artist like yourself to get into the music industry?
It's really difficult, you know, because there's loads of other people that want to be there, and there's a lot of people with their hungers and their like passions and their desires that want to be in the industry, that, you know, but all they need is someone to help them get there. Where there's actual people as well that are like 100% dedicated to, like, you know, constant working, constant pushing, like you said, promoting themselves through their social medias, like the Facebooks, the TikToks, and the Instagrams, through word of mouth, sharing it through like their messaging apps like WhatsApp and like Facebook messengers and stuff. And there's that constant pushing it, so like even making videos with their song as the background, or, you know, making little comedy videos or little memes like the nowadays generation. They, you know, doing concepts with it as well, you know. And it's like the things you see people doing online when it comes to these like ways of promotion, it's crazy, and you have to think outside. I think you have to think outside the box with promoting, and stuff like this helps to promote your music, you know, with a conference and stuff, because it opens it up to a wider audience, you know what I mean? And it's not just like digital, but also physical promotion as well. So it's like, because I think one thing about when you're an artist trying to break through is you are like technically like a walking promotion. You know what I mean? You have to be able to promote yourself anywhere, and like, because you are your own brand. So it's like, I think promoting it by word of mouth is just as important as doing it online, if you know what I mean.
I think I know what you mean. And in that, to explore that just a little bit, how important has it been for you, and which social media handle have you found most productive for you?
So I'm not sure which one I'd say has been more productive. I think TikTok's the go-to right now. I think they've all had equal kind of productiveness with the Instagram, the Facebooks, and the TikToks and stuff. And I think TikTok's the more relevant one right now, because it reaches, you know, a wider audience with with a bigger chance of reaching more people, because that's what it's there for, to connect with people around the world through like social media posts, their videos and their music and their skits and all that stuff, and their pictures and stuff. Like, you know, like how many times I could scroll on TikTok today, and I could see like I'll probably see hundreds of videos and pictures from people that are all over the world, India and Bali and America, and you know, like you'll see Africa everywhere. You see it, and you guaranteed to see people from around the world. Whereas I think with Facebook and Instagram, it's a bit more limiting on that aspect. I'd say Instagram a little. It's probably a bit better than Facebook. But I think it's kind of
for somebody of your age.
like, no, it's not necessarily. I mean, just like publicity wise, it's like I think TikTok would probably be a better one to reach a broader amount of people, like a bigger amount of people than you would on Facebook or Instagram in this current day and age, if you know what I mean. Because it's open to a lot more public around the world connectivity, you know.
When you think about promoters and being an artist that's an independent artist, if you like, what would you say are the benefits of being an independent artist, and what are the positives of perhaps having somebody, you know, invest in you?
I think like I'd say like, you know, you've got like your freedom to express yourself a bit and stuff, and you know, but yeah, even then, you know, there's no benefits without that hard work, you know. You have to work hard to get any sort of benefit. I mean, like the benefits of being you know, of being an artist really is like, you know, there's people that have come up to me or messaged me that have heard my music and gone, oh, I like your music, you know. People like I was at work and some of the staff come up to me and said, are you the one, are you the singer? I was there like, I was like, how did you even find out that? Because I haven't told anyone. But like, you know, I was trying to keep that out of work until like I had some releases, which I do have, like a couple of them now, like. But yeah, I think like.
What's your favourite out of those releases that you've got right now?
I don't have a favourite, but like the most popular one that people liked was Love Letter.
Give us a chorus or give me a bit of that.
Like, I'm writing you a love letter. These true words coming from the heart. Things can only get better. So really need your woman from the start. Writing you a love letter. These true words coming from the heart. Things can only get better. So really need your woman from the start. But
great. Now
that one, like the upbeatness of it, people liked it. They said it was catchy. You know, the rhythm's quite bumpy. You know, people can dance to it. It's quite, you know, it's got that good energy vibes, and I think it's like kind of a bit like. Remember that like 90s kind of lovers rock, kind of rock steady kind of that sound that was going on there. And I was thinking about it, and me and someone like had a conversation, and we were like, you know what, it really fits into that 90s reggae category, the sound that you're going for. And I was like, it's funny, I was like, I'm a 90s baby, I was born in 1999, so it was like, I just about made it to say that, but I think that like being heavily enticed and influenced by that sound is what like
drew you to that.
That's what I grew up. I grew up on it, didn't I? So that was the music that like it reminds me of my mum. You know what I mean? So it's like that music reminds me of my mum. It does. Every time I listen to reggae.
Does your mum like it?
Yeah, my mum lives and breathes reggae music. And then she's always supported me anytime I do my shows or any music or anything. She gets proper excited. I remember when I brought out I sent her the songs. And I remember I sent a love letter, and she was like, "Oh, I really like that." She was like, "It made me feel like I wanted to cry listening to it." It made me laugh.
That's what I think every boy child dreams of, having that sort of impression with his mum.
Yeah, I think
she
there's that. To it well.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts about the other sides of the business? The contracts, the management, the agents, PRS, because now you're going to get linked to PRS, and it's going to be a new thing for you, I guess, because you've now been part of the songwriting team, which is a phenomenal thing. That's where most artists get to really start to earn money.
Yeah, so I think it's a tricky one, you see, because with contracts, you know, especially when you've got a manager as well, and it's kind of like, you know, you have to know that it's, you know, what's in the contract is in your best interests as well as the best interests of everyone else you're working with. You know what I mean? And you know, you want to know that the people you're going into partnership with or to collaborate on, to work with, you know, have your best interests as like in their mind. You know what I mean? And you want to know that, you know, you can trust them to help you with your progression and vice versa.
And how do you know that? How do you get a sense of that?
I think
because it's a big wide world,
yeah,
isn't it, for young people especially.
Knowing like knowing the people that you're going into business with, I think it's a big one. You need to like know about, you know, what have they done previously that can make me go, okay, like I would work with them. You know what I mean? And then like also with contracts and stuff, and with the people you're working with, it's like, for instance, you know, you don't want to be tied down to like a 10-year contract of working with somebody. You know what I mean?
Because things change.
Yeah, and then I think there's everything that's included in there. You have to know if it's a good deal for yourself and the person, everyone that you're working with, to be honest. So it's kind of like, you know, because there's a lot that go into it. You have to understand there's percentages that get taken out of everything, and it's like kind of like, you know, you have to know your fees, you know, so like, you know, because once it gets to, you know, putting on your own shows in venues and stuff, there's, you know, some venues where it's your fees paid off of tickets. You know, some venues it's you have to hire a venue, and you have to, you know, make your money back off tickets again. But you have to hire the venue, so and then that contributes and changes to makes all the changes to all the prices and stuff. You know what I mean? But then it's like, so it, you know, it's good to know that you've got people that you can work with, that can help take off a lot of burdens as well as an artist, so that you can focus on doing the exact thing that your job is. You know, you wanna focus more so that you can, you know, get better at, you know, your trade. Because like I said, you a walking brand. You know, you represent yourself every day on the streets, every day in public. It's like you have to maintain a public appearance. You have to maintain a certain standard of professionalism, and you have to maintain character as well in your act. You have to have everything in, you know, working on your performance game, and, you know, constantly trying to like switch it up or evolve it a bit more is another main thing. So it's like, to have a whole team, or to have a team of people, collectives, that you can work alongside with, that can take, you know, because without having a team, you know, you're dealing with it all yourself, and half the time you get lost in the middle of it, you know. And it's kind of like having that team there helps to keep you on track, you know. And then you've all got the same end goal in the end of it as well, where you're all gonna succeed at some point, because you all put the work into each of your sectors, you know what I mean?
How long do you think it takes to see a profit as an artist?
It can take a long time, you know what I mean?
Why?
Sometimes you've got to spend money to make money, you know what I mean? If you're good, and people love you and enjoy you more, you know, like, you see the profit back a lot sooner. But it's like there's a lot of money in investing goes into being an artist. You have your wardrobes, and you have like your clothes, your transportation, the hours on end that, you know, you're working on music, or, you know, on rehearsing. You know, you've got all the things that contribute to your performance up into them shows that you do. They all cost money, you know what I mean? It all costs. So it's not just, you know, I've invested into a show today and I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna make profit off of the tickets, because you're constantly investing into your game, and you can't, you know, time's money as much as physical money is money. So it's like, you know, the hours that you spend sitting in your living room or your studio or your bedroom or the shower practicing your singing, you know what I mean? Practicing your stage presence or movement, when you're in the studio recording, the production that the producer has to put into the producing.
So where does that all come from? What is the benefits of a manager in that perspective?
I think having the benefits of having a manager, it just helps keep everything running smoothly, you know, because obviously like a manager, like the name, the manager's job is to manage what's going on, you know what I mean, to make sure everything's going correctly, moving at an efficient pace, you know, things are ready and not just rushed, you know, and that things are planned out and played out right. You know, it's like, imagine you could have a show there now, yeah, where, you know, they're like, it's overseas, you know, we'll pay you this X amount of money, but we're not doing this, we're not doing that, you know what I mean? But then they've messaged your bedroom or something, and because they've got the manager, and they were like, oh, well, I'm not taking X amount of money, we need X amount of money, and we need this flight and this and that guaranteed before we think about doing any show, you know what I mean? So I think it's like a manager also kind of breaks the hard negotiation deals, where it's like, okay, well, this is how much the hourly rate is, and this is how much it is for transportation, this is how much, you know, so the manager breaks down the costs of things correctly, you know, where, you know, they play a lot, I think, a bit more hardball, you know, to make the best for them and their clients' interests as well, you know what I mean? So it's like everyone has to benefit from everything in the music industry. So it's kind of like, to be able to benefit from that, the work has to be put in, you know, that, like, whether it's financial or mental investment, you know what I mean? And that's it. Literally, yeah.
And that usually takes a while to come back sometimes, like you said.
Yeah, it could, some people then even outperforming, you know, any shows at all, and they work for 2-3 years, then they haven't done one show yet, because they're working, they're invested, like 2-3 years. people were like, okay, well, as soon as you're out there, you started making easy money then, but how much does 2 or 3 years cost in your mind? How much is 2 or 3 years of time worth in value in money to your head? See, if you
Well, I like that.
sell that to somebody, you know, I'll give you 3 years. How much will be willing to pay to get 3 years of your life? You know what I mean?
I like that because as a manager myself, I always look at it like this. If I sell my services to somebody else, how much do I get an hour? Or what's my salary for a month? And somewhere between that and the lowest salary that I can get, which is, you know, the basic rate, £12.50 or whatever it is, I can pitch it there. But sometimes people are working and they don't even make that. So sometimes playing it straight, you look at somebody and you say, I want you to do this for this client or that client, and they say, well, I want this, and you've got to pay them. That money comes from somewhere, and that's an investment on whatever might come in the future. Do artists often see it that way?
I think it depends what type of artist that you're working with. I think, you know, you've got some artists that are just happy to do their trade. They're there, they get on with it. Then you've got some artists that want to play a bit hardball as well, and, you know, like they can manage themselves, or, you know, they could do it all themselves. But, you know, I think you know, you have to have a bit of a stern spine as an artist.
Yeah.
You know, because we've seen times where people could go, I think you should do that, you know what I mean? And it's like, you kind of like, oh, well, we come in with a plan, someone can try and throw you off that plan, you know. So as an artist, you do sometimes have to have a bit of a stern spine with certain things, whether it be a certain decision you might not like, you know, you know what you like yourself, yeah. And as an art, I think you know what you like yourself, or you know when something doesn't feel right, when something feels right for you as an artist as well. So it's kind of like, you kind of just like, you know, negotiate, or even open the discussion about it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, then you know, you've got ones that are the understanding ones as well. Okay, you know what? And, you know, you've explained it to me now. You know, I understand what you meant by it now. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think there's different wavelengths artists can be on at all times, but, you know, I think the main thing is that as long as the artist and the manager's on the right wavelength is the main part, because, you know, that's the person you're going to interact with the most out of anyone that you could have in a team of people. The artist and the manager's the one that interacts the most, because the manager deals with the business for the artist. The artist, you know, is with the manager when he's doing the business. So it's kind of like, you're always involved or engaged with the manager. So it's kind of like, yeah, you know, I think as long as you're on the same wavelength, you know, it's kind of like you work a lot better. Then I think you couldn't have an artist and a manager not on the same wavelength and see much success. You know, I think we've probably seen the rarities with like your Chaz and Dave, where them two performers didn't get on with each other, but they were electric on stage.
Yeah.
But that's a rarity that you have things like that, you know. And, you know, I think some artists are scared of their managers because they're tied into it with their manager, and the manager could cancel them, or their label could cancel them, or, you know, so some of them get a bit scared and that. But I think, you know, having an open relationship with your manager, yeah, where you kind of like know exactly what you want from each other, exactly where you both want to get to, you know, with your collaboration. And I think it kind of goes from there. You know, you work towards it together like a cohesive unit kind of thing, and you get to a good end goal. You know, rather than if you're not on the same page, you know, it'll take you a very lot longer, if ever, to get to that point that you could get to as a cohesive unit. You know, and that's with the whole of your team as well. You know. But I think the manager's the most important one for you to work on the same wavelength with, because he's the one that deals with your business, you know.
Okay. So the conference is on Sunday the 29th of March, 1:30 till 8:30. 2 questions. What are you looking forward to most of all?
What am I looking forward to the most? There's a lot of things going on there. You know, it's going to be some like great live music there. You know, I think hearing the stories, you know, some of them, like, obviously yourself, you're probably going to be saying some of them from like what you, like similar stories to what's inside the British reggae music industry book. So I think it's kind of like, you know, hearing stories like what's in that book, you know, and meeting other people and hearing their stories about their path or their journey, or, you know, their potential journey that they want to go on, and being able to give advice about what I believe could benefit them, yeah, from my personal experiences, what might encourage them, and then vice versa, you know, words of encouragement, you know, hearing stories that could encourage me, or give me a new diverse way of thinking about something, or, you know, I think that's one of the most things I'm looking forward to, is like the networking and the knowledge gaining, man. But
yeah, knowledge gaining, radio, the business side, magazines, AI.
Everything.
What do you think about AI?
I don't like AI, man. I don't. You ever watched that Will Smith film, I Am Robot? We're getting to that. We're getting to that stage, man. I don't like it. There's robots already around, and that people, these cars, hearing that they're trialing these new cars where they're taxis with no driver. So
yeah, I've driven in one.
I don't trust them. That's not something that could lock you in, and something that could just lock you in and never let you out. Yeah, I no thanks, man.
Well, there's always, you know, I mean, some of us have been in cars with drivers under the influence of drugs or under the influence of alcohol, and we do that pretty regular.
I don't like getting in people's cars when they mash up, man. I don't trust it. I don't trust it, man.
Yeah.
Listen, I've got a straight taxi for me. I'll get in a taxi, man. Get the Uber on the phone. I'm not getting in your car. I'll meet you there. You know what? Don't worry. Yeah, you drive. I'll walk. It's only round the corner. It's an hour away. Don't worry. I'll be fine. I will be fine. I'll walk.
Oh, great. Okay.
Them drunken walks home, man. They're the funny ones.
Okay. Nah, so you're not a fan of AI?
Nah.
But AI is coming whether we like it or not. And the thing about AI is that if, to a certain extent, it's a bit like the Yamaha DX7 and the Sim Drum, you know what I mean? They're all tools. And the greatest thing about AI, I think it provides an opportunity for people who aren't singers to write songs. It provides an opportunity for people who aren't a full band to use AI and use their knowledge or their creativity in a different way than it's used today. And I think that has its pluses and its minuses. I won't say that there's not minuses. I would definitely say that there's both, and it has to be talked about in order for a generalized position to come about. Another thing I'm excited about the conference for is I'm hoping that women feel more able to join the business. And I'm thinking that people need a better understanding of the business so that they can flourish in the business and move through that flourishing, move their creative side of their business on. So if you understand what promotion is, or the good and the bad promoters are, you might understand how you might be able to promote yourself. And I think all these things are things that I've learnt in the past, and things that I've put in the book, and things that I share with the artists I manage, and things that I continue to learn from. What I'd like to finish this discussion off with is, what would you advise a young person starting off like you with in this business? Because you're young yourself, but there's people that are 14, 15. I know that you've done some coaching yourself in the past.
Just like belief, having belief in yourself. I think like you gotta brush off haters. There's a lot of people that hate us, that like, you know, they might hate because they don't want to see you shine or do better, or they might hate because they're not happy that they can't do, or they don't possess the talent that you may have. So there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of jealousy for what you do, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that will support as well, but you'll come across a lot more people trying to knock you off your road at first, because you have to gain that support and build that support around you. But at first, you see a lot of more people trying to knock you off. Knock you off off your path. I mean, like when one of my early stories was it was my friend, someone that was actually one of my friends, and they messaged me on Facebook saying, "You're good, but you're not that good. You're not gonna do anything with it. Like, you're not gonna go nowhere." But that was because they was failing at their talent at the time. There was a great in their field, great at what they do, but their like passion for it wasn't as good as it could have been, or the promotion wasn't as good as it could have been. Now obviously they're still doing it, and they're really good at it. They're smashing it. They've got a lot better, but they messaged me back again, probably like a year after or 2 years after. And like, I saw you've done a show at the Jam House and that, and it looked really packed, and so you done the Commonwealth Games, and that looked, what, I can't lie, I've got to give you respect. I've got to eat my words still. That's you've done really well, and that I didn't expect you to have, and it's like kind of like you can't rise to the hate. You have to kind of just prove them wrong. Use it as like a rocket fuel. Let it fuel you kind of to wanna, do better at it or progress a bit more through it. And then another thing is like, some days you'll feel like you want to quit, or some days you just feel like you can't do it, and you gotta push yourself some days. Some days you genuinely can't do it, but like you know your limits of your body, but sometimes you have to kind of thrive, like persevere to thrive. But I think it's just like, yeah, watch out for the haters along the way. Stay true to yourself as well. Staying true to yourself, and keeping your loyalties to yourself and what you your morals, your beliefs. Like staying true to yourself, being humble as well. Just constant like humbleness is the key, because being humble means people are a lot more willing to work with you, because they know that you're very not easy to get work out of, but easy to work with. You don't want to be like a nightmare to people that want to work with you, because you get in the industry as well, especially in this music scene, it spreads around a lot easier that you're harder to work with than that you're easy to work with. Like, people don't spread it as much that it's easy to work with, because they'd rather you work with them than with somebody else. But then they could know how good you are, but you're hard to work with. So then they don't want to work with you, but they don't want anyone else to work with you, because they can't work with you. So that spreads around a lot easier and faster than if you was an easy person to work with. So I think kind of, staying humble, being an easy person to work with, and watching out for the doubters and the haters, prove them wrong, man. If you've got a passion and you like it, who cares what anyone else says? You gotta go through it, believe in yourself, because no one else, if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. So it's kind of like, having self-belief is one of the main things that you can have as an upcomer or aspiring artist, and constantly working on your craft. I think they're the main things that you can do if you want to develop to becoming an artist. I think they're the best things.
Well, I think that's it for me. Thanks, Ish Murphy, for this. Laid back but serious with Grantley Haynes. Welcomes Ish Murphy. Bless.
Wicked. Yeah.